Yes, it is the Champagne Rugby. I forgot the name of the podcast. Champagne Rugby Podcast, coming to you not live from the Export Beer Garden studio. Myself, Tony Lyall, and James McOnie is here, and he's got a big grin on his face, a big sort of puppy dog grin. He's licking his lips after a very tight win from the All Blacks on Saturday. And how's it going, big fella?
Not too bad. I noticed that you tried to make us sound like a bigger show by going myself, Tony Lyall, and James McOnie.
Yeah.
Of course, Sam Smith not here today.
He's dead. Yeah, he died on the weekend.
What's happened to him? He's got some kind of...
Yeah, no, he fell off the harbour bridge. He went bungee jumping and they didn't tie the cord to anything, and he jumped off and he landed on a crab boat. So he won't be back on the podcast, unfortunately, but go out and buy yourself some crabs to mourn the loss of Sam Smith.
Thoughts and prayers.
Or he might be back next week. It's hard to tell these days in the modern world, but no, he isn't here today. So just you and myself and me dissecting the very tight win down in Dunedin under the roof. The All Blacks, of course, winning 23-20 in the end, but hey, what a tussle. Some good Bledisloe rugby. I didn't know what was going to happen halfway through the game. I was like, oh shit, are we going to get pumped here?
Well, the Aussies were good in the first half. They were so collected. They were calm. They sort of they knew what they were about, and they just executed perfectly. And we were thinking, of any minute now, it's going to turn into a ya ding dong, but it didn't. It was 17-3 at halftime, and you look at the tries, both scored down that left flank. Which is a bit of a bummer for poor old Shooter Stevenson, because you're on debut and then all of a sudden it's like Koroi and Betty, just the knee, he just stayed in, and then Tom Hooper barging down. He did a bit of a Lomu, now called a Frizzell over the top of Damian McKenzie. But then, this is the whole thing, we got so much hate on the text line at the ACC, maybe because myself and G-Lane were talking up the amount of Chiefs mana in the team. Everyone's texting in, get rid of the Chiefs, you guys suck, blah, blah, blah. But something beautiful happened even before the subs came on. In the second half, everything changed. Yeah,
and I think you are right to point out that fact that the subs seem to be getting a lot of the credit of like, we had a big experienced bench out there, Aaron Smith coming on, Dane Cole's coming on, all the guys who we know and love and trust. But the tide did turn at about halftime when it was those OG people who were still on putting in the hard mahi. That's where it did start to shift a bit. But yeah, I did feel for old Shooter Stevenson as well. Put on the wing where he's been playing at fullback basically all season. They chuck him on the wing. He gets a couple of tough defensive reads, I guess. I don't know if that's...
It was hard.
Yeah.
I looked at it even from the area. I love him too. Looking from the aerial view, he was between the devil and the deep blue sea with...
he really was.
It was Karevi to Korombeti, and you're going, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because either of them's going to score, and they probably did the right thing because they almost pushed him out. But anyway, in the second half, Shooter scores.
Mate, so, and this is a fact that's been doing the rounds everywhere. I saw it before the game and saw it after the game, but if anyone's not aware, he scored a try on debut for every single first-class team he's played for, which is a hell of a stat, and now including the All Blacks.
Wow.
So before that game, he was sitting there thinking, I think it was New Zealand Māori, the Chiefs, must have been North Harbour. Every team he's started for on his first game, he's dotted down, and he didn't disappoint, which I think was pretty impressive to have like a couple of things not go your way and then think, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to really dig in here and actually play well instead of being like, I'm out of here, I'm going to bail, I'm going to go just knock about on the wing and see if it comes my way.
And I saw the Stevensons out on the field. No Scotty J, unfortunately, but his Shooter's parents were there. And it was just a beautiful thing, seeing the families, Dane Coles with all the kids, Dane Coles with his best mates from the Kapiti Coast. It felt like.
Yeah, they did seem
like
to be
the
there.
lads.
Yeah, it was kind of a lovely interview. You saw someone be like, everyone's dreams to play for the All Blacks. We can't do it. But he did it. He did it for all of us. He's living all of our dreams. And I thought, isn't that a great way to like vicariously live your life?
And I looked at that guy and I thought, are you a club rugby battler? And then I went, no, I think I recognise you. Are you Warwick Lamert, who's played for Sevens for New Zealand? Anyway, I was trying to recognise that guy, but I think he did sort of encapsulate what it is like, I guess, if one of your best mates just totally makes it, Like, we're Tigers mates from Onslow College.
Yeah, they've got to be lurking around. Yeah. I mean, surely they're sifting around at Hollywood parties, going up and packing their pockets full of all the freebies that I'm sure handed out willy-nilly
Crashing
at
on the
Hollywood
couch.
parties. Yeah, being like, hey,
yeah.
we're going to a party at Natalie Portman's. Natalie, do you mind if I crash on the couch? Because, to be honest, I didn't book a hotel because I didn't know what we were doing.
I
didn't
thought I
know
was
the
going to go to
plans.
Tigers. I was going to go to Tigers with best mates.
And if there's an orgy, I'll be happy to get involved. But no pressure.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if there is one, I'm keen. But no, all good if not.
Well, you might be able to tell Natalie that yourself in person because she's here next week.
She's here. What?
Right now.
Oh, this is hugely embarrassing. What's she here for?
The Women's World Cup football.
Did she
FIFA.
play?
She missed out on the American team. It was quite controversial. They got knocked out. No Portman. And so...
I tell you, Portman would have nailed those the penalties. I tell you what.
She would have gone low.
She would have skied it over.
Ah.
Watched the replay of that again this morning. Wanted to get a little taste. This is branching out into a FIFA Women's World Cup podcast now, but you've got to watch it again. It just really shows you they just bottled it under pressure.
They did.
Rapinoe and Smith both just not quite nailing it.
Was Natalie Portman, was she part Jedi? Did she just have
She's
Jedi
Queen
jizz?
Amidala.
She had Jedi jizz mainly.
Yeah, she's Jedi jizz.
Oh, okay. So that's all it was. I was wondering whether she had special powers because she could fight.
Yeah.
She fought off that big sort of, Garfield-looking dragon tiger.
Yeah.
And that was pretty impressive.
Well, I mean, if you were blessed with the Force, goalie is surely where you go. You're getting every ball.
I think you're right.
You're stopping. The ball is just out of reach, but you sort of fuck it right off. Yeah, you wouldn't even have to move. And especially nowadays with the new rule that you can't go side to side during a penalty, which I think is horseshit.
You'd just be staring at the ball. But you wouldn't have to. You're right with Megan Rapinoe or Sophia Smith, or there were 4 penalties missed in a row. But I've got to say, the Swedes, some of their penalties, beautiful.
Oh, side of the net.
Exactly. And high and top corner. And then the thing is, Rapinoe, she smiled afterwards, and that sent all the Trump fans into a frenzy.
And this is, I found it massively annoying that people kicked off about her smiling afterwards because people were like, she doesn't care. And you're like, you're not the one who's been getting up at 5 a.m. to do a workout for 4 years in between World Cups like she has to get prepared for it. You saw her laugh. And then you also saw her bawling her eyes out after they missed and when they were knocked out. But they don't put that bit up. They just put the bit up where she was obviously laughing at herself at the situation she'd found herself in for screwing the pooch there.
It's the thing. She really had the smile of that sport on her face. But then everybody pounced and went, you don't care about the goddamn USV? What about those other people? And why didn't you kick low? You don't go up and to the left. That's JFK.
She kicked the that certainly is JFK.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not you. So that was a big turn up for the books. This is a rugby podcast.
Yeah, I know, but it is good, isn't it?
Important.
The Women's World Cup has been great, and I encourage you all to get out there. And also, before we get off this topic, I encourage you all to go out there, get a soccer ball, put it on the penalty spot with an open goal, no one in it, and try to kick the shit out of it. And I bet you all of you basically miss it or kick a kick that would be easily grabbed by the goalie. It's so hard. It's so much harder than they make it look.
It is quite hard. And the other thing is there's the psych out between the player and the goalie is immense. But there's one thing I reckon that I always feel is probably the safest way to take a penalty when you need that kick to score is to go straight down the middle.
Yeah.
Because the keeper is thinking she needs this to score, so I have to save it. So really staying in the middle is probably not an option. I've got to guess, and I'm going to read it and blah, blah, blah. And so I really feel that something down the middle, at least it's going to be on target.
Yeah.
You're not messing with the post.
It's getting in the goal.
It's getting in the goal, and you're hoping that they dive because they know it's a big moment for them as well. It's like, this could be the end of it.
I think it
this
also
one kick
messes with them emotionally as well. The keeper, they dive off and they're like, I could have stayed still and got that.
Yeah.
Could have stayed still. Next time, they're probably going to stay still.
I did see a keeper stay still once in a shootout. It was like, when was it? Nigeria versus England? The ball went in. And it didn't go at great distance. If she had dived, she probably would have got it. But anyway, this is the psychology of penalty shootout. Something that may have to happen in the Rugby World Cup.
Well, I think they used to do the old penalty, and everyone got maybe they do it in European rugby, I can't remember, where if it's a draw, they all take a kick, which is a crazy concept and hilarious until someone misses it. I think Xavier Rush was out there knocking them over.
That's right, yeah. That was Cardiff, I think. I saw that game too.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, that's what happens. There's extra time in rugby, and then they have penalties on the 22 in the middle, so straight straight up the guts for the kick. But again, with
Well,
that much pressure, if you've played those 120 minutes or whatever it is, 110 minutes, you'd be absolutely rooted, and then just trying to steady the ship and get it straight through between the posts. I reckon it's a tough kick.
Would that happen at the Rugby World Cup in the final?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That is the rules?
That's the rules.
Oh, shit, the beard. I was unaware.
That's what I'm saying. It could happen in the Rugby World Cup. It's any knockout game. That's how it's decided if there's
God bless it.
If there's no winner after extra time.
It'd be good if there was allowed to be a keeper, or there was that phase where people would lift people to knock the ball out. I'd like to see that.
I'm pretty sure there's still a penalty shootout, but they can't have it with most tries. Maybe most tries might be the tiebreaker.
Then it's controversial. Now we're talking boundary countback, and
it is. It's boundary countback, but then eventually that has to be. Then maybe they go yellow cards. I don't know. If everything's even, you got to do.
But most tries seems like an awful way to do it, because what if you had an easy pull and you ran up 100 points on a Zambia or something like that?
In the game, in that game.
In that particular game, that makes much more sense.
It does.
Than a full tournament countback.
And also, I think, if you're up against a team that's all rolling mauls and they get enough penalties to kick to the corner, it's not like they've really scored these amazing tries. They've just mauled the shit out of it, you know? And
then likewise with the same, if you've kicked a bunch of penalties during the game and then all of a sudden the 3 tries is deemed as better. Points are points.
Points are points, mate.
This is what I think about cricket as well, the boundary countback. Runs are runs, doesn't matter how you score them. But anyway, we've gone wildly off topic.
No, it's on topic.
It is on topic.
This is important. This is sport and the ramifications. Clearly, we're not totally across the rules for the Rugby World Cup.
No.
But it doesn't matter.
Someone out there will be. They didn't need it in this game because it was heading for a draw. I thought to myself, this has all the feelings of a draw. There's been plenty of draws with Australia over the years, and I started to have that feeling of, it's going to be a fucking draw. And then Richie Mo steps up, 2 minutes to go, and just swings his giant piece around, walks back, ices up the kick, and just kicks it straight down the middle. And God, it was beautiful to see.
It was majestic. It was clutch. There was some beautiful poetry to it. Tane Norton had passed away, the legendary All Blacks and Canterbury captain. He played for the same club as Richie Mo'unga, Linwood tough. And Richie steps up and just slams it straight down the middle. That was probably one of the most clutch kicks I've seen.
Yep.
I'd love to see. It's weird. I always was wondering who's the best, because the old adage in rugby is you choose your goal kicker first. You know. And that's why Grant Fox has stayed there for ages, you know. He was the best goal kicker. He was going to get you the points. But now I really feel with that moment, it is Richie.
Yeah.
You know?
It's something that's been so unsettled in the team.
Yeah.
But it seems like years, is it Bodie? Is it Richie who was going to kick? Geordie's in there as well. D-Mac's on.
Pretty bloody clutch.
Yeah, pretty bloody clutch. How many games has he won for the Chiefs Mana over the years?
Yeah, he did. I think it was last year. Last year he had all these
on a streak.
Kicks. Yeah, on a streak to win it. Got kicks to win. But then I look at that and I just go, higher stakes.
Yeah.
Longer distance.
It was a thing of absolute beauty. And also, and this is where the Women's World Cup comes into it again, a beautiful pitch to play on. They had it perfectly manicured. I mean, they still had the lines on it from the football, but the commentators mentioned it, not the ACC commentary, but the other commentators mentioned it, that it was super, shorter than it really should be for a rugby game. So the grass was perfectly manicured for football, which is why I think, was it D-Mac kicked the shit out of the ball at one stage, and it might have actually been Will Jordan, kicked it from about the 22 and it went dead because the ground's so short and it's ground so hard for football that it just rolled forever. So he's running up on basically concrete to kick that final goal.
Yeah, we didn't provide that sort of expertise. I can confirm that on the ACC. We were complaining about the line, saying when you play touch and you put the cones out or whatever, and you're never quite sure where the try line is, and there's always some debate over someone putting the ball down on the 5 metre line and touch is always the massive dick shrinker. It's like they've got the runaway, they plant the ball over the line, they look back and everyone goes, it's the wrong fucking line, David.
So that Kitty Betty try as well, it looked like he was out, and then I was like, it's the wrong line. It's not. There's another line that he's still in of. But speaking of your commentary, I have heard that it was pretty above board, which is good for the ACC, and I think we have a little taste of it here of that game-winning moment.
Can he win it for the All Blacks? Richie Mo'unga. Looks good. And looks good.
Oh, beautiful stuff. Is there some harmonising I hear between you and G-Lane?
Yeah, unintentional, really. We're not quite sure who's... I mean, I think G-Lane can go a bit higher than me.
Yeah, well, someone did sound flat and someone did sound sharp, and that sort of equals each other out.
We're balancing.
Makes the perfect sort of note. But what a moment. What a moment for the young man to get up there and win the game. I want to put this on record and say fans still booing Quade Cooper after all these years. It's more than a decade since the Quade and Richie incident that sort of irked the nation to start with. And I can't believe people are still booing him after all these years.
What we should do is, this is a job for the stadium DJ, is they should play Let It Go when if people start booing Quade Cooper. And just because it was when he was lining up the kick as well, it's like, piss off.
Yeah.
Just leave the guy alone. And also, I get that you can make distracting noises. I don't want us to go full Irish and like, everybody be quiet.
No.
It's like, no, you can still do that and wave your pool noodles. But the booing is it's just so historic. And one game in Hong Kong where he put an elbow into Richie Mo'unga or some bloody thing. I mean, do you know what goes on in rugby games half the time?
Yeah.
People trying to bloody mess with your family jewels and choke you out and bloody break your hand.
Sucking you off.
Oh, yeah, sometimes. Hopawadiing you.
Yeah, we hopawadi.
Yeah, and I mean, in the case of G-Lane, he got hopawadied to the point where he had to someone had to surgically remove his undies.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard of a rusty trombone happening in a rugby game, but that was a particularly aggressive manoeuvre.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like a dirty Sanchez would happen.
Yeah.
Maybe a Cosby sweater.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm going deep into Urban Dictionary here.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots of things that could happen on the rugby field, and I just think, don't hold the grudge. Plus, he's took it all hard. He's took it all tough.
Yeah, I saw him post on Instagram, and he basically said, to the people booing, cheering, whatever you're doing, thank you for creating an atmosphere. And I thought that was very big of him to be like, well,
nice.
cheers, mate. I did also think there was a little bit of me that was Schadenfreude poured out of me when he did drop that ball, knocked it on right in the last sort of minute that set up the game-winning penalty. I thought, geez, he's going to wear it for that one. That's tough.
He did drop it cold, didn't he?
He really shat the bed there. He took a Dogan right on the freshly made hotel sheets.
A Dogan?
A Dogan, yeah. Big old Dogan. You never heard that?
No.
A Dogan. A Dog.
Adam, can we have a tiebreaker on the Dogan? Have you heard of a Dogan?
No, I'm with you, McOnie.
You never heard of a Dogan?
No, but I thought you were going for like a Hadogan or something, like the old Street Fighter or something.
No,
just
or
a
a Grogan.
Dog.
A Grogan.
Grogan.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Grogan is one.
Dogan is one.
Where did you grow up again?
I grew up in Blenheim, top of the South Island. We were taking Dogans there the whole time.
Home of the Dogan.
Home of the Dogan.
Okay, well, I was going to give a top three players.
Yes, let's do it.
I thought Summer Penny Finau was amazing.
Yes.
Because he did everything he could and then some, and scored a clutch try, and I thought, you know what? You deserve to go on that plane to France. And then I thought Artie Savia and Sam Whitelock combined in terms of that experience, saving the try with the cabin boy. One rolled the cabin boy over, the other one reached around.
Yeah, he did a reach around.
And he was on top of the cabin boy, but still reaching around him and basically forcing himself into the cabin boy.
They did a double team on the cabin boy, a double team reach around, including some forcing himself on him.
Yeah.
And geez, it was effective. It got him off the try.
Yeah.
For sure. Got him off in front of everyone. It was incredible to see.
So I'm sort of giving those two, Artie and Sam, just a bit of a leadership award,
Yeah.
And so it's a double one.
Double whammy.
Double whammy. And then I think I was going, of course, Richie Mo'unga, who we've talked about.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, he's the number 10 jersey is his now.
It is.
Yeah.
Without question. It sort of illustrated that, which is good. This is a perfect game to find that out in. We're not finding that out in a quarterfinal in France. We can see it now and go, cool, well, for these important games, chuck him in there. D-Mac still did great. I thought he still marshaled the troops completely adequately. And for those sort of pool games, some of those ones, I'm sure he'll be there, really involved.
Well, the one thing about D-Mac is I'm a big fan of him coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And
couldn't agree more.
And coming onto the field.
Yeah, I love it when he comes on the field. I thought we really missed him coming all over the field in the 2019 Rugby World Cup. He was obviously too hurt to come anywhere.
Yeah.
So he didn't come at all. And I really could have done with
we missed
him
him coming all over the place, because if you think about that kind of penetration that he provides,
Yeah.
it's hard to come by that, and the way he just does his thing, and he's a special player. The other guy, Leicester-Fying Anuku, he showed to me that maybe when you're having your outside back cover, and Fozzie possibly hinted at this because he does cover centre second five at a pinch, that maybe he's your X factor off the bench.
Yeah, he was incredible. I mean, dropping the ball for the try aside, which was still, these things happen. He was just everywhere. It was so good to see him again. I was like, I forgot about you. Look at you go. He's, he was probably the player of Super Rugby for me. And then he gets injured, so you don't really see him. And we sort of built this team and had this good run of wins. And you're like, okay, maybe we're okay. Maybe we're looking pretty good. Like Caleb Clark really stepped up. And then Leicester was like, hey, remember me, and just really played the house down.
Yeah, and I think if you're thinking Bodie and Will Jordan are locked in somewhere in the back three, then it's a shootout between Talea and Leicester-Fying Anuku for the other spot. So, it could be he might actually end up being a starter in the World Cup. Why not? You're right. He was the best player, the most consistent attacking player in Super Rugby.
Yeah, he was absolutely epic. And I love the way he keeps so busy. And Talia does the same thing where he'll pop up at a maul and pick and go and score a try. It reminds me of that sort of Sever Reece sort of game plan, which they must just tell them all to do down there in Crusaders land, where it's like, do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to get in there and get busy, go bananas. You don't have to stay out on your wing. Just get your hands dirty and get right in amongst it.
So for Aussie, I do love the cabin boy as captain.
Yes.
Eddie Jones didn't pick him in his mid-season squad because he's a muppet. Finally realises, actually, you might just be our best player and best captain.
Yeah.
So do love the cabin boy. The time traveller coming off the bench, not bad as well. At halfback Nick White, that is. And really, Tom Hooper and Nick Frost from Hot Fuzz is, well, first of all, he's been elongated. But those guys, this is the benefit for Australia is they're so young in test years.
Yeah.
They're so green, but then now they're actually sort of looking like proper test players. So Aussie, in a lot of ways, gained as much out of that as we did.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, Hooper is an absolute beast. Yeah. And they just love to have battlers called Hooper.
They do.
In that side. And speaking of Michael Hooper, is he deceased? What happened to him?
No, he's just getting his eyes. They just moved into a Cyclops formation, and they're just moving them apart, and he should be ready to go.
His eyes joined.
Yeah, they joined. It just happened naturally over time.
Yeah,
and then well, there you go. Here's another X Factor player, but like Fraser McCrate was all right.
Oh, I got the giggles over here.
The eyes, the Cyclops.
Yeah. He really has. He was a good-looking boy. When he first burst onto the scene, he was a fresh-faced surfer. He came to the games with his board. He was an 18-year-old or something, captain at 22, and just smashed his head in.
He's a bit of a Teddy Ruxpin. I think Jeremy Wells has called him that because of the eyes just being just basically straight there, very close.
Yeah, it's like when you see a horse straight on. It just doesn't look right. You got to see it from the side. You don't want to see both of a horse's eyes at the same time. It's very confusing to the brain.
But anyway, can we take a short break and we'll come back and talk about Fozzie's squad and the
sounds
excitement
good to me.
of that?
And I am excited. So is everyone down in the Hawke's Bay. So we'll go. I'm going to go Google pictures of Michael Hooper and we'll be right back. And we are back. And speaking of back, slightly, I guess. There's a thing that they're doing here. They see, I don't know if you hear about this, McOnie, called Backing Black, and they're trying to give people the chance to win $6,000 worth of stuff to watch the rugby on. It's pretty epic. You just
awesome.
Go text Dulux to 3236 for all the info, and you get a little black paint pot. You can paint something black to support the All Blacks while they're over there, and win a shitload of television and headphones and a soundbar and a subwoofer and a Dulux voucher, and it's an epic prize pack. It genuinely is. Sometimes on these things you'll say the prize pack and you'll be like, it's an epic prize pack. In the back of your head you're like, I guess it's fine. But this is actually a hell of a doozy. So do that.
Not bad, is it?
Text Dulux to 3236 for all the info there for Backing Back Black with Dulux, who do bring you all the rugby coverage here on the ACC. And the big news this week, aside from the win against the Wallabies, they put a whole bunch of people on the plane. They went down to the Hawke's Bay, NZ Rugby bigwigs. We had them all down there. Dame Patsy Reddy was there. Richie McCaw was there. Fozzie was there to announce this World Cup squad. And I think they put on a hell of a do, to be honest.
it was nice to see them down there. And, it was one of those moments where I tuned in, 5 o'clock, just to see. You pick up your phone, mate.
Yeah, I dropped my phone.
Actually, there's something I was going to ask you as well. The other big news this week was, did you perform at the comedy at the Classic? Did
I
you?
performed at the Classic.
And did you have an ACC night out? What's the story?
No ACC night out.
The G Lane was there.
Oh, I think the joke has made its way onto social media, and he's a purveyor of social media. He's gone.
Oh, it was videoed.
He's gone onto my Instagram, Tony_Lyall on Instagram. If you're a fan of Instagram, you can follow there. You can see the joke there live in real time. Well, it's filmed, so it's not live and it's not in real time, but you can see the joke there that is in question about the Women's World Cup. That's caused a little bit of controversy. So go check it out. There'll be no spoilers here on this podcast.
Well, next time you're at the Classic, can you organise an ACC night out? Adam and I would like to go.
Okay, sounds good. We can sort that out. It sort of seems like an off-air sort of conversation, to be honest, but
It does seem like that, but right now I'm keen on a night out and to watch Tony Lyall tell some jokes that are very, very borderline.
yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it's borderline. It was just a bit iffy.
Yeah. But then,
Which I guess is just a synonym for borderline. So, no, you were right.
yeah, it's good. Anyway, the squad, Tony, I tuned in at 5 and Fozzie was there, and then suddenly out comes the great Richie McCaw, turned down a knighthood on
Yep.
you, Richie. He announced the team. He's not into saying Waikato.
No.
He's definitely not into
Waikato.
that. Yeah, he's Waikato all the way. And anyway, he went down and named the team, and I was doing the kind of like the alphabetical thing, like, oh no, that means this
Yeah.
guy's, And then of course I held out faint hope for Quinn Tupaia because he played for Waikato on the Sunday night, and I thought, because I felt like him and Havili were still in the hunt. And if you think that Quinn was making great strides, in previous
really was.
2 seasons, right, with the All Blacks. But anyway, it came down to the T's, and I went, no Tupaia. And then, of course, they'd already named 3 halfbacks, and I knew there'd be no Brad Weber.
Yeah, I was waiting for the Weber. I was very disappointed for Brad. Love Brad Weber so much. I'm glad to see that he's in amongst the team environment. He's travelling over with them to South Africa, and I think he'll carry on to Europe in some way. I don't think he can actually go, but I guess he'll just lurk around on his own dime.
Well, he's a good team man. I've actually offered him he can come and top and tail with me in France. I've said it's top and tail only.
Yeah.
And so
When you top and tail, do you
69.
you 69?
I think you do 69.
I thought you might 96 to make it a little less awkward.
I've never actually considered that, but maybe I should basically put some fine print in the offer and say it's only 69.
Yeah, it's only 69.
Yeah,
And
because that's how I've grown up top and tailing.
you're 69ing.
Yeah.
And you never wake up, sometimes, I'm not sure if this sort of hits you, but sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and just for no sort of reason, I guess just being gorged. And it doesn't happen to you?
I think it's better than a fart to me.
Yeah.
I think having a
You'd rather cop a cock than a fart?
I'd rather go cock than fart.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially first thing in the morning.
I mean, if you're getting it from Brad Weber, that's an All Black, so that's a special moment.
Yeah, that's right.
And that is a special moment for your friends and your family, really. That's just as good as a debut.
Well, that's all. I'd hope that my parents would turn up and then everybody would sort of go, well, "This is amazing."
Yeah,
you've top and tailed with an All Black.
Speeches afterwards,
Yeah, exactly.
they put a little cap on you.
I'm in tears. Incredible moment.
Yeah, I worked so hard for this.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted.
Yeah. Not as hard as Brad. Am I right? Brad? You were in the morning, mate.
There we are.
So, look, he's a good team player. So he's going over there. He's going to go to the Twickers for the South African game. And then, of course, everybody has to go their separate ways because the squad is the squad. But as we know, Brad is playing for Stade Francais. He's actually taken French lessons.
Yeah, I heard he's taken a month of French lessons.
That was my advice, my one piece of advice that any player has ever taken. I said, go to Alliance Francaise, do the lessons. It's kind of almost full immersion, so you get pretty good. And he started in January, and he actually did a Q&A session in French last couple of weeks ago. So
What a guy.
So he's actually gone and smashed it out of the park. So nobody else in the team speaks French. So I can imagine that they'll almost be able to hire Brad as some kind of translator.
Yeah, we'll have him as a media
Yeah,
manager, something
yeah.
like that. And then, oh, no, someone's got injured. We're going to send our media manager in.
Exactly.
Luckily, it's actually halfback Brad Weber.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the French would say, well, since you are the only person who speaks French, can we interview you?
Yeah.
And then he'd just be there as a sort of attaché, good French word.
Yeah, it is a good French word.
Yeah, and because I've already got a media manager, so he'd have to be the media attaché.
Yeah, which I think is a legitimate position. We could have him as the media attaché. You could rope him in while you're over there to be your personal attaché.
Oh, there will be ropes involved. I have offered it that as well. Like, I'm not sure how to rig things up in a French hotel room, but yeah, there's ways.
Just go your classic 4 pulleys from the corners of the bedposts. Is normally does the trick.
That's right, yeah.
That'll sort
And
it out.
you could do a Mission Impossible, so he's suspended like Tom Cruise. He just comes down, and it's just. But he can
And
sleep.
his nose is just an inch above it,
Yeah.
just dangling very close.
Anyway, we were talking about the squad. Oh,
Yeah, the squad,
that was sad too, and I think that he's going to be a travelling reserve or whatever outside the squad. He's going to Twickers as well. He probably, to me, is just a victim of the fact that you have to, or they have decided to take 6 props.
6 props seems like an incredible amount of props. I mean, you got 4 on the field any game day, and then 2 of them just chilling in the stands. I mean, maybe, I don't know, there must be some sort of thing that I don't see about it, but it seems like the most spaced out World Cup we've ever had. There's at one stage there's 2 weeks off between games. I'm not saying that playing 6 or however many games you play, 8 games across those weeks is easy, but it's some big gaps there. So I don't know how blown out these guys are going to get that we need 6 props. But
I guess comes down to if there's an injury to a prop, right? Then you've got to get another, say in the warm up or whatever, and maybe someone else is nursing a bit of a back strain. Then you're pretty much down to bare cupboard props, and you're having to fly someone over just because there's no way you can just have someone fill in at prop. But almost every other position on the rugby field you can fill in without the expertise. Hooker and prop are very bloody hard.
Yeah, maybe they got Shannon Frizzell eyeing up that big number 4 jersey if someone else gets injured, and they can slide Scooter around as well. And even the midfield, like you mentioned, Leicester, Whanganuku, play him at 12, why not?
Why not? You know, he runs a lot of plays through that midfield anyway. It just means that you get the ball straight away. And they usually skimp on outside backs, but because they've got the Bowden Barrett under first fives, it means they're sort of going, hey, here's Caleb Clark, Leicester Whanganuku, as we've mentioned, Will Jordan, Amone Narawa, which was great to see.
Yeah, it was great to see.
Because he is the excitement machine for me that just has something so different that you just go, okay, it's Amone. And then you've got Mark Tillier, who is slippery, covered in Vaseline and KY. He's
lubed up to the gills.
Massive luber. So, fair enough. But I did actually feel that here at the ACC, we're very sad about Braden Enor.
Yes.
His sister Courtney works for us. And it was one of those games where he just looked to be in good form, in good touch, about to show some real class, and he gets bloody injured.
He was ripping shit up, and it was sad to see him get injured. He's just sort of been one of those players who's been right on the cusp. He's been cusping for a long time, and he just sort of looked like he was about to rip through, and then, he's done himself a mischief. So sad to see. Hopefully it's not as bad as first thought, but it does seem as if that's his year.
It does. My feeling about Braden Enor is don't give up, Braden. Don't. I mean, I know you want to go to probably Japan and make some serious coin, but if you can hold on for another couple of years, you never know what will happen, because watching that Super Rugby final and the semi-final, I thought Braden Enor was bloody impressive.
He's just so good. He'd be devastating in Japan. He would score 100 tries a game. He's so fast, so big, so skillful in that midfield. I feel like it would be an unfair fight. So hopefully he does stick around, like you said. And you never know. You know, there's been players who have been injured before, and then if just a few years later they're a fixture in the All Black pack. So hopefully that's sort of his future also. Because, God, he's a great guy. Also quite hot.
Quite hot, yeah. He is actually quite a dish. If we were going to do a calendar and we were going to commandeer a few people, we know we get, Jimmy Neesham comes in, Lockie Ferguson, probably lovely Trenty, just because you'd be able to make a little hole with his mouth in that, you know. And then I think the other thing is, who would you, the other hot players? There are some hotties around. It's quite a hot team.
I'd put Scott Barrett in for the cum gutters alone. I think with his shirt off, that would be impressive.
You need gutters in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I feel like Dalton Papali'i's got a World War II sort of veteran, Saving Private Ryan vibe.
He does have a sort of 1,000-yard stare, as if he's seen the bodies of countless men who have been decapitated and blown apart as he climbed across the beach.
But also another hot player who has slid in, and it's another KY jelly move, Is it jelly or gel?
I'd say KY jelly.
Yeah, it's jelly, isn't it?
I think it is
KY
jelly.
gel? Can someone Google KY?
Can we bring that up?
We should know this. I mean, come on, we're the ACC. This is right now, buddy.
Yeah, I think it is KY jelly.
KY jelly, personal lubricant.
Yep.
How much is that? I'll just have
That's a good steal, really, isn't it?
Here we go. Buy now. Oh, no, wait a second. Join. No, I don't want
Your
to.
cart's actually already got 3 of them in there from a previous purchase.
$13.99. I mean, it's all right.
How many applications is that? If that's $1 an application, that's a steal.
So, David Havili, he has slithered into the squad.
What a guy as well. 1 game back. I like it. I was stoked to hear his name. His name was one of the ones, I watched it live as well. I went, oh, I made a little noise as it came out. And Narawa was the other one. I went, oh, when he came out because I was excited. So exciting to see them. And I think that's so nice to have. Is there a bit of excitement around the naming of a squad where I don't remember sort of being this jazzed up for a good couple, probably 4 years to be fair. But yeah, it's good to see. And I feel like there was an excitement around the whole thing, even being down in Hawke's Bay, going back to that community down there. There were some characters out for sure.
Yeah. And then there's, I think for me, the Caleb Clark story is interesting because he wasn't in great Super Rugby form, but we know his potential. We've seen him be a blockbuster, and I sort of approve of taking someone that talented. I almost feel the same way about Hoskins Sotutu as well. I think we've almost left arguably our most talented rugby player at home.
Yeah.
So, but the thing with Hoskins' talents is that he's good at everything, and it's kind of like being good at the decathlon or something, whereas in the end, it's all these specialist things that they were worried about. But to me, in a parallel universe, Hoskins goes.
Yeah, it's crazy that he is the forgotten man, I think, of New Zealand rugby right at this moment, where he has an insane talent and he's just chilling. He hasn't been in any of the conversations that I've heard about him, apart from you, and I know you're a big proponent of his game.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just this, except any other team he'd play for. I have to think any other, like Wallabies would be falling over themselves to get him involved.
Well, every other team would be happy that Hoskins Sotutu isn't going.
Agreed.
Because I think England would be shitting their pants about them. France would be as well. Whereas everyone else they'd have a plan for. They'd say, Artie's, Mr. Energy pumps his legs.
God,
but with Hoskins, you go, actually, he can kind of throw a 20-metre miss pass off both hands. He can bump you off. He can, step you. He can fend you in the face. He's kind of like a big unit, so he's going to win post-contact meters. All that stuff that I think if you went, and I'm not being a massive fanboy here, I think he led every stat in Super Rugby for all that. And I know stats aren't the be-all and end-all because our greatest rugby players of all time probably wouldn't have led in many stats department, apart from Richie McCaw with turnovers. But if you had him to say, if he did an NFL combine, he might look a bit like Tom Brady out there, but still the GOAT.
Well, so how good would a Super Rugby combine be? I'd love to watch that.
We could do that.
Yeah.
We could actually make it an ACC thing because if you miss out, I think the players who get into Super Rugby would be like, nah, we're too cool now. We're a Super Rugby player. But all the guys who miss out, they'll be pretty much up for anything. They'll be kind of desperate wandering the streets. And if we just rounded them up in a big van and said, come with us, we're going to put you through your paces and Squid Game the shit out of it.
Yeah, we're going to broadcast it. There'll be reps there.
Yeah.
There'll be some borderline commentary by some inebriated commentators.
Then G-Lane playing red light, green light with them. Fuck.
That would be playing the Squid Game music very loud. I'd watch that. I think that would go viral.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hoskins, I wonder how long it is until he would be eligible for Fiji. Is it 2 years stand down these days or 4?
It's longer. Yeah, the thing it is 4. It's tough. I always think that if you've played only, like, for example, Peter Gus Sowakula should be in the Fijian, should be eligible right now.
Yeah.
He's only played 1 test for the All Blacks or whatever, and then it's not in a big tournament. It's just a, sort of, I think it was at Eden Park, wasn't it? Against Ireland. So you should be able to do the switcheroo after 1 test because in football they allow it.
Yeah.
As long as it's not a World Cup or something big. But even then I think they'd probably, you can apply, Whereas in rugby they're like, nah, netball it's sweet, rugby league you're fine.
Yeah.
I think Olympians have a few years and then they can switch over. I remember a weightlifter, Naeem Suleimanoglu, who represented Bulgaria and Turkey
Oh, how can
in the
I forget?
Olympics. Yeah. How can you forget Naeem? Suleimanoglu.
Yeah. I'm always bringing her up in combos.
Yeah, it's a man. It's a man.
Oh, yeah,
It's a
him
man.
up, him up. Yeah. Hard to tell sometimes.
Well, the last time I saw him, I believe he was a man.
Oh.
Naeem, yeah.
Okay, well, good. Well, I was trying to do a seamless sort of sideshow shuffle there into Fiji beating Japan on the weekend. There's a whole bunch of what I thought were crazy results in other international fixtures over the weekend. Fiji beat Japan comprehensively. Scotland beat France. Everyone's been saying this is France's year, this unstoppable team, and they are a bloody good team. But yeah, Scotland pipped them at home. Wales, they beat England by 11 points. And then the game everyone's talking about, Romania and the USA. No, USA won that. But yeah, those games I thought were very surprising. I don't know if you call Fiji, Japan an upset, but interesting results heading in to a World Cup where it sort of opens the door where who the shit knows what's going to happen over there in France.
I did look at the French team. They probably, the commentator actually did say, well, even if it's the French B team, this is a great win. And it was really a bit like how Fozzie gave everybody a run, but even further deeper into the archives. So, you had no Intermac. You didn't have Dupont at halfback. The Wookie was there, the big Wookie, number 4. But there was no Gregory Aldrit, some of these players who are going to be massive stars front and centre in the World Cup. So they were sending out, I guess, the wider squad.
Yeah.
But Scotland, I agree with you, is going to be a problem, of course, in Duhan van der Merwe. They've probably got the best, what do they call them now? Strike, are they called strike wings?
Strike wings, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, they've got your best power winger in Duhan van der Merwe. World's best.
Yeah, Duhast.
Duhast, necked.
Yeah, and let's not forget as well that they're in a hell of a pool with South Africa and Ireland. This is a Scotland team that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But if they were to knock out one of those teams in some sort of wacky twist of fate, I'd be right here for it. And likewise for Fiji, who are in that pool with Wales and Australia, who some people are sort of saying is the easier half of the pool. But yeah, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Fiji maybe pip Wales or Aussie and get that second spot in the Pool C.
I see Jack Dempsey is playing for them as well, Australian. So he's Scotland do have they do spread the net a bit. Of course, Van der Merwe is South African and really the one that got away.
I thought Van der Merwe was a classic Scottish name. I'm pretty sure I remember that in Braveheart.
He's changing his name to Mick Van der Merwe.
Yeah,
just to sort of fit in a little bit. You know? So yeah,
and it doesn't surprise me.
And Duhan's going to be Dougie.
Dougie, and then he'll run out in the kilt and say, "I've always been here." Not like we've ever, played anyone who hasn't been strictly tied to New Zealand, so we can't exactly, claim that one too much.
So Jack Dempsey last played for Australia in 2019, and now he started his Scotland career in 2022. And so it's not a huge standout.
No, that's sort of 3 years. But before that, I think it wasn't Jack Dempsey and McDreamy and Grey's Anatomy.
Well, there was Jack Dempsey was one of the greatest boxers of all time in the last century. But was Jack Dempsey McDreamy?
I don't know.
Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, it could be. It's hard to remember who is an actor and who is a rugby player. Sometimes
Should we play that game next week? Next time we do a pod, actor or rugby player from the past, and you've got to. We'll try and maybe stump each other, or maybe just stump Sam. Let's just embarrass Sam.
We can do some prep. Sam will have no idea. I mean, he'll be back from his crab accident, hopefully. Although I did hear that he was deceased. We'll find out if he's dead or if he's alive, and we can work from there and plough on forward. But there is no international rugby that concerns the All Blacks this week. We may be back next week talking about some, because I hate to break it to you, but NPC's started.
I love the NPC. I'm a Mulu man. Waikato got off to a streaky start against Southland, 29-21, I think. But I will be right now. I'm so devoted to the Women's World Cup football that's my main viewing at present. Obviously, had to work for the ACC on Saturday, but I will be getting into the NPC very shortly.
Yes.
It's just hard to balance when the World Cup is amazing.
Work-life balance. I watched the Tasman Mako Fins Up, go the Mako, which is my team, and God, they've got a good showing in this All Blacks team. And also at one stage on the weekend, I was like, this is just the Tasman Mako playing Australia here. But good to see them get up over Otago. Otago is probably my second team as well. It's always my favourite game to watch. So good to see them kick off with a bang. We'll talk more about that next week when we'll be back, or we won't be. Who knows? I have no fucking idea. But thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Remember, if you want to see a filthy joke, jump on Instagram and search up me, Tony Lyall. And I mean, if you just want to see what McOnie's up to, I'm sure you can go and look around on his Instagram also.
At James McOnie, I haven't posted for a while. My most successful post is one of Peter Gus Soakula leaving after the Super Rugby final with his kid riding on the little suitcase trolley, you know?
Oh, yeah, lovely.
Yeah, cute.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that's actually boosted my number of followers no end. I've really been in an Instagram kind of cul-de-sac, just haven't been moving for ages. But that was
Get a bit of content out of Peter Gus Soakula's child.
Thanks, Peter Gus. Yeah.
You're away laughing.
And then the rest is football stuff. I need to actually up my Instagram game. Yep.
Well, hopefully those people out there the numbers will fly in off the back end of this podcast. And next week you'll come in and you'll have 15,000 followers. I don't know how many you have now, but thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Go the All Blacks in France and go McOnie in France as well when you're over there. And if you see him, remember, give him some rope.